It's Friday, the 23rd of July, 2021.
Coming to you live from Lagos, Nigeria. This is Breakfast Central.
Welcome to the TJF edition, thank God it's Friday, of Breakfast Central, reaching you live from New Central Studio in Lagos, Nigeria. Orúkọ mi ni Oluchi Enabong.
Good morning, Africa. My name is Olisa Chukuma. We are set to bring you the top stories and news from around the continent and indeed the world. Well, let's begin with a look at today's headlines for today, July 23rd. It's a Friday. Full tax start in Nigeria, where Sunday Igboho's court hearing continues today in Benin Republic.
And we will be going to South Africa, looking at the unrest as the death toll rises to 337.
Exploring the art of comic writing right here on the program. You don't want to miss our guest.
And finding love on the reality show. Can you not?
Wow.
Coming here.
Plus, the newspaper review, the front pages and the back pages from some of Africa's dailies today. All that and more on Breakfast Central.
New Central, new Igboho.
All right, if you're just tuned in, this is Breakfast Central, and we're asking you to follow us on all socials. I mean, we're at New Central TV, and we're on Instagram, we're on Facebook, and you can also check our website. It's pretty cool, at www.newcentraltv.africa. Now, let's start off by checking out what the stories are on the front pages of the papers today. And we're starting with the very first paper, which is The Punch. Looking at The Punch all the way from Nigeria. The Punch has quite a number of stories that we are looking at this morning. And one of the main story we have here is talking about COVID. Now, COVID-19 testing stops in 13 states. That's what it says in the paper, The Punch. Delta variant hitting unvaccinated Nigerians. That's what it says from page 2 of The Punch this morning. And the writer here says, testing fell by 29% in 3 months. Federal government cries out as dangerous strain spreads fast. Also, we're talking about the vaccine, where the writer says Nigeria receives over 3 million Oxford AstraZeneca doses next week. States list testing obstacles. That's what you have here from The Punch this morning. Also, still looking at The Punch from page 19, it says cooking gas price soars to 500 naira per kilogram, per kg, yeah, which retailers and consumers are lamenting. That means if you have a 12 kg gas cylinder that you were buying for 3,500 naira, the new price has gone from 3,500 to 6,000 naira. That's over 60% increment. That's what we're receiving in this part of the world, but you can get that from page 19 of The Punch this morning. The Punch has a very, very confusing picture, as some people might think, because you might think this picture is from Nigeria, but no, this flawed scenario and situation is happening in China. Yeah, this is one of China's central Henan province, and this happened on Wednesday. You can see the situation, cars, water. Whew, I mean, this is quite similar to what happened in Lagos in the past few days, even as at last week, where we had a serious situation where people virtually could literally rent canoes just to get home.
What Lagos experience was a pinch compared to what these people are experiencing.
See right here, right?
Yeah, the 3 months rainfall in less than 24 hours. That is massive. You can see cars smashed up. Even underground drains was filled to the armpits. You know, it was that bad out there.
And you had a lot of footwork. People had to come out of the vehicles and find their way to their different destinations. But you will get this from The Punch newspaper this morning. Also, looking at The Punch, we have here from page 11, Baptist contacts chapters over ransom for Kaduna Bethel students. You have this also in the paper for you to read. And the last one from page 26, after 6-hour hearing, Benecott releases Igboho's wife, remains activist.
All right, let's go straight to the front page in Liberia. That's the paper I'm taking next. All about opulence of a burial, it says. That's interment tomb eclipses McDill's mother's funeral. Also, it talks about murder compromise. So it's all about the wave of show-offs on social media, but by several officials of government, the casket and the burial tomb, as you see on the front page there, of the ministers of state's mother raises eyebrows on what some term as wasteful spending and lust for luxury among public officials. So there's a big burial going on in Liberia, and people are looking at it and saying, well, a bit of opulence and spenditry, in the burial. All of that on the front page in Liberia.
Moving from Liberia, we're going to Uganda, looking at the Uganda paper, Daily Monitor. That's the paper we're looking at this morning. And it's all about COVID. If you look at all the stories, the writers, the major headlines we have here, one controversial one talks about COVID, vaccine, and money. Now, MP's car cash could buy 7.5 million vaccine. That's what it says here. And the writer asks a very big question, and it is, what are our priorities? News that government has wired 200 million shillings to each of the more than 500 members of parliament amid the COVID-19 pandemic on the day it begged the public to contribute for vaccine and oxygen cylinders has kicked up an uproar over misplaced priorities. Do you see that picture there? I mean, the picture says it all. It says it all. Look at the amount of money they're spending to buy vehicles and the amount of, as against the amount of money for the vaccines. That you have a whole lot of
scale of preference.
A whole lot of deliberation going on here. You also have still on COVID. Strangers, that's from page 6. Strangers scare COVID drug maker. You have all of that from the Daily Monitor this morning. All
right, let's finally go to the citizen in Tanzania to see what they have on the front page there. It talks about that Kitila, government needs advice on taxation, it says. And also a big story we talked about yesterday. The arrest of Mbowe, held on terrorism, assassination and conspiracies. We hear the police force have issued a statement yesterday saying the arrest of Chadema party leader Freeman Mbowe, stating that he is being held on allegations of conspiracy to commit terrorism and killing government officials. To find out more, on the front page of the Citizen in Tanzania, speaking about the president of Tanzania, that's there on the bottom left, Samia Suluhu Hassan with former UK Prime Minister, talking about Tony Blair. Says Samia Blair discussed COVID-19 response. All of that on the front page of the Citizen in Tanzania. Well, away from the newspapers this morning, let's now bring you the top stories right here on Breakfast Central.
It's a TGIF edition, but let's begin our top stories with news that embattled Yoruba Nation freedom fighter Sunday Adeyemo, popularly known as Sunday Igboho, was just yesterday returned to cell in Benin Republic as the hearing on his extradition resumes later today. Now, Igboho's wife, who's a German, who was also arrested alongside her husband at the airport in Cotonou, Benin Republic, was, however, released. We'll bring you more details on the extradition hearing in our news bulletin later on News Central.
All right, so let's take away stories from Nigeria. Now, away from that, let's quickly tell you that Nigeria has received the first batch of the A-29 Super Tucano aircraft procured from the United States of America. Now, the aircraft arrived in Kano State yesterday, Thursday afternoon, and was received by the Honorable Minister of Defense, that's Major General Bashir Magashi, retired, and Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Farouk Yahaya, and Chief of Air Staff, Air Marshal Oladayo Amao.
Now, the second batch of the A-29 Super Tucano is expected to arrive in the country before the end of the year. Now, recall that the governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, Godwin Emefiele, had some months back hinted about the fighter planes as the country steps up efforts to combat insecurity.
All right, so Nigeria receives the A-29 aircraft. That's the big news in the country. So let's bring you more details right here on that, right here on Breakfast Central.
Right, and let's also not forget that this A-29 Super Tucano is the most reliable and cost-effective solution for basic and advanced flight and combat training.
And I suppose that's according to the military sellers, right? It is among the top 10 light aircraft, attack aircraft, it says. Senegal, Ghana, Angola, Mali, Burkina Faso all have received or ordered for the supply of the A-29 Tucano fighter jets. So it's not us who's been purchasing this jets so far, so good.
Yeah, and from the other countries that are also interested in this, it shows that these fighter jets are not just the ordinary jets, and we hope that it can also help to curb the fight or the insecurity that we have in this country. Let's not forget that sometime last month, the late Chief of Army Air Staff and 10 others were killed in the military aircraft that crashed on their way from Kaduna to Abuja, and it was a sad one for the country. And it got people talking and asking questions about the will I call it parameters, or about the size of the aircraft, some other things that were supposed to be there. Were they there? Were the number of people who were in the aircraft, did they exceed the maximum number of people that were supposed to be there, aside other things? So we're hoping the black box will be recovered, and we'll be getting more updates on that as well.
All right, so there you have it. More top stories right here on Breakfast Central. To South Africa now, where cleanup operations has begun in parts of the country affected by the unrest last week, with the death toll pegged at 337. That's a huge number. Now, the government announced that the latest tally in a press conference held yesterday, where it confirmed that the deaths were not as a result of any looting incidents.
New looting incidents. Wow. Now, meanwhile, South Africa's National Assembly has scheduled a special extraordinary extended debate to discuss the looting when the parliament opens in mid-August. Now, earlier on, our South African journalist and editor Candice Bailey explained the cause of the high death toll.
Incidents in the sense that people who were in hospital have now subsequently died. So no new incidents, but people. Of the 337 deaths that we are reporting, 278 are in KZN, 79 are in Gauteng, but it's all people who had been admitted to hospital with serious injuries and have now subsequently passed on as a result of those injuries. We do know that the police are investigating now more than 170 cases of murder in KZN, as well as 79 cases of murder in Gauteng.
All right, so that's South African correspondent and journalist Candice Bailey giving us explanations as regards some of how these numbers were gotten. So not all of them as a result directly from the incidents of the violence and the looting.
But at this point in time, the government of South Africa is doing their best to ensure that normalcy returns and the economy can go back to its regular, especially for business owners who have lost so much properties, goods, and for the ones that have lost, the ones that have also lost their lives, they're trying to get some form of compensation. Well, up next on the program is Africa Reports. We have joining us this morning live for African Reports all the way from Zimbabwe, our Zimbabwean correspondent, Lala. Welcome to Breakfast Central, Lala. What's the latest from Zimbabwe?
Good morning, Oluchi.
Morning, Lala.
The latest from Zimbabwe. Morning, Olisa. Okay, so the latest from Zimbabwe has to do with teachers this time around. The government on Tuesday announced that it was raising the civil servants' salaries with 45 to 50% increment. However, the teachers are not happy. They are saying this increment is literally a joke because it will still put them below the poverty bottom line in the country. And they are calling for the government to take them back to the 550 United States dollars that they used to receive before October 2018. Sorry.
All right, Lala. So for the teachers, where do they go from here? Is there any sticking point that they might walk away with a good deal, no matter what happens in terms of the government's decision?
Sorry, I didn't get that.
For the teachers, where do they go from here? Is there like a sticking point that they can take away despite the government's decision right now?
Okay, so basically what the teachers are saying is that if their salaries are not reverted back to the October 2018, which was they used to receive 580 United States dollars, they are not going back to school. They are threatening not to go back when schools open. And this basically will affect the children that have spent long periods without going to school. And because of COVID-19, of course, and right now as we speak, the schools are still closed and they are yet to come up with a date of when schools are opening. So if schools are to open and the teachers are still not happy with the salaries that have been that are being given by their employer, then that will mean a disaster for the children.
Right. Lala, now looking at the welfare for teachers, I mean, is there any plan by the government to put in place certain procedures, especially during this period of COVID? I mean, we know that when schools resume over here in Nigeria, a lot of implementations and precautions have been put in place to ensure that these children do not get infected, especially with the Delta variant.
Okay, so what some of the measures that the government has been taking over the past few weeks was to disinfect schools and provide certain essentials that will make sure that the kids have sanitizers, kids have constant water, because there are some areas where water is a problem. So the government is making sure that they do things like that and provides PPEs for the teachers and the staff at schools, as well as make sure that they decongest some of the schools. So this will mean a situation whereby there may be other kids that will be hot sitting, so they have like two periods, like some may go in the morning and others go in the afternoon.
All right, Lala, before we let you go, just like you said, the teachers have rejected, this increment and they want more. Should the government don't respond to their demands, do you think that a strike from the teachers union in Zimbabwe will make the government, have a U-turn?
What's so interesting is the past 2 years, this has been a back and forth struggle between the teachers and the government. So what they've done, there are times when they've protested, there are times when they've stayed away, where they would have peaceful protest and all that, and nothing really has changed. Because their argument is that the government may increase their salaries, but the industry keeps hiking price of commodities. So at the end of the day, their salaries don't amount to anything because the prices of commodities and goods keeps going up. Oh. So maybe they may go on the streets, which will be a bit not a good idea on their side, because then they will be going against COVID-19 regulations, and that will actually be an easy target for them to be arrested. So maybe they will stay away, they'll have peaceful protests staying away at their homes.
Right. All right. Thank you so much, Lala. We hope the government and the teachers will get to some form of compromise for everybody to move on swiftly. But thank you so much, Lala, for the update.
All right, thank you very much, Lala. Let's remind you once again, just in case you have missing out, our headlines recap right here on Breakfast Central. We looked at the Sunday Igboho court hearing, which continues today.
And we spoke about South Africa unrest as death toll rises to 337.
Also, we looked at the front pages from Nigeria to Kenya to Tanzania. All right, coming up next, also on Breakfast Central.
All about finding love on a reality show. Can you or can you not?
And we'll look at Tokyo Olympics. It starts today, opening ceremony in Tokyo, Japan.
And Adekunle's gold drop Sinner video. Interesting.
You are still watching Breakfast Central on News Central today, Friday, the 23rd day of July, 2021. Don't forget to follow us on all our social media platforms, on Facebook, Instagram, and yes, even the other one. All right, let's go straight to more stories right here. Now, figuring out how to make a comic book for the first time can be quite intimidating task, especially for those who don't think of themselves as visual artists. Now, most people know about comic books, but almost no one knows how they are made, and some old-fashioned folks have not yet realized that comic books an art form in their own right. Now, and that writing them involves a specific set of skills and processes that differ from novels and screenplays. Now, my guest today is Lady Anastasia Bolu. She is the creative director and author at AB Comic Books, a silent digital comic book store, and telling stories about the African culture and uplifting the African woman. Well, welcome to Breakfast Central, Anastasia.
Thank you very much.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Comic book writing, tell us the journey and how did it really start for you?
Okay, so for me, I've always been a storyteller ever since I was a kid. So basically this year I decided to do something about it. So I self-published my first comic in January of this year, and I got amazing feedback. So that basically encouraged me to self-publish my second comic.
What was the name of the first comic?
The first one is called Psychedelic Affair.
Okay.
And the second one is Stacy Black, Once Upon a Time in Monaco.
All right, so how do you conceptualize your stories? Where do you get your inspiration for these comics?
I actually get my inspiration from songs, basically. I really love music. So funny thing is, every single story is based on a particular song. So I listen to the song, I get my ideas, and I write the stories, yes.
Right, and you started this quite young. So what would you say are the major challenges and hurdles? Did you have to go to some form of, educational, formal training that really makes you a professional at this to really hone your craft?
I actually didn't have any training.
Wow.
Like I said, I've always been a storyteller. I just decided to put something out there this year. I guess the only challenge that I'm facing right now is comic books. They're not really part of the Nigerian culture, and that's something that I want to put out there.
But many people might actually, debate that, because you look at back in maybe some of us when we were growing up, we didn't love comics. Some of us attempted, drawing comics, being cartoonish, and it's also a form of like story boarding. And what you do is pure art. So what kind of skills, would someone who wants to follow your footsteps, especially for an African woman, what would you think they would need?
I think basically a creative mind. Once you have a creative mind, everything is possible. That's what I will say. Yes. And obviously, apart from that, the technical skill of actually drawing the comics. Yes.
And there's always this question about, we don't have talent, or I'm not as gifted as Anastasia. There's always that barrier to navigate. How does someone, go through that kind of hurdle?
I think the first thing one needs to do is not to have that mentality, first of all, because I feel like everybody is gifted. You just have to find your own gift and basically nurture it. So, yeah. Yeah,
and also being, a woman, an African woman, starts drawing comics and going into comic book publishing and production. Would you say there's any, gender-based barriers that you have to break, and people say, no, that's not the place, you should leave it for the men, or that's what you should be looking towards, you shouldn't be looking towards art, perhaps business or something else, or something softer or harder?
Actually, I have not really experienced that, fortunately for me. I can't speak on that because I haven't experienced that.
Well, how's the reception been since you launched your first and second comic
It's been really, really positive. People really like the stories. I have some reviews on my website already. Okay. So that's basically encouraging me to continue. I plan to publish 4 more comic books this year, so like 6 total.
Where do you get it from?
From songs. I'm currently writing one as we speak. Yes, I'm putting another comic book together.
Quite interesting. Well, Anastasia, there's an important question because we are in the era of social media.
Yes.
And smartphones and everything has gone digital. So how do you balance that? Because attention span is quite, heavy whether for the young or the old. So how do you then balance that navigation between social media and comics, and getting it on the digital platforms? Because that has to be the main challenge now, unlike in those days where it was all in print.
Well, I think this is definitely an opportunity for people like me that I create digital comic books. So social media is a very great avenue for that. And you talked about short attention span, right? That's why I decided to go with silent comic books. So if you purchase my comic book, you'll see that I have very minimal writing. So it's just pictures telling the story.
Okay, so it's a silent comic book. That's actually a genre in itself, subgenre within the comic book.
Yes.
Wow. So what defines it? You don't write many texts in your...
Yes. So you don't have people having conversations, but you see them doing things, so you can tell the story from there. Sometimes you can even interpret it in your own way. So that's what art is about.
All right. So when you talk about comic books, a lot of us, especially for boys, you think about Superman, Batman, X-Men, and there are different types of comic genres, just like action and horror. So what would you say is your favorite?
I believe fantasy.
Oh!
Yes, fantasy is my favorite. I do not have any superheroes in my comic.
Yeah, because you create
books.
yours. Yeah.
Yeah, and my main character for every single comic book is actually an African woman. So maybe that's my own superhero in a way.
So why the African woman?
Because I feel like African women need to be more empowered. I want to tell stories about African women. African women are very complex. They are beautiful, they are talented, they are sensual, they're intelligent. So I just want to project that into the society.
All right. Well, we wish you all the best. Just before we let you go, what would you tell the young African aspiring comic book artists, either digitally or perhaps in print? What would you tell them right now on Breakfast?
Just start. Just start. Forget the limitation that you think you might have and just start.
No matter your talent base or the fears.
Yes, just start.
Well, thank you so much, Anastasia, for coming on Breakfast Central, and good luck with the remaining comic books for this year.
Thank you so much.
All right, thank you very much.
All right.
Right, so we have more to come in your way right here on Breakfast Central, so do stay with us.
You're watching Breakfast Central on News Central TV. Today is a TGIF edition, the 23rd day in the month of July. Now, our entertainment plug is ready to bring you all the juicy stories, but he's on a little break because right now I have something interesting about love. Love, they say, is a very beautiful thing, and finding love, the real, true love, is a quest that we'll all embark upon, I hope, at some point in our lives. Now, for some people, the search doesn't just stop on social media and dating sites. Reality TV has become the newest way to finding love. Now, one may ask, can love, true love, be found on a reality TV show? Your guess is as good as mine. Well, my guests today seem to have answered that question to an extent. Please, let's welcome Ike Nama and Teresa Ugoji, popularly known as Ike Razor, in the studio this morning. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. And I also have my entertainment plug. I know Sam Dandy is also with us here. Sam Dandy, can you hear us?
I can hear you loud and clear.
Awesome. Fantastic. So welcome to the show, to my guests. Welcome to you. You guys look so stunning.
Thank you
so much. Okay, so I have a question for you both. I mean, at what point did you guys decide to go on national TV to find true love? On the show, when did you think that he was the one for you? And when did you think that she was the one for you? Let me start with you, Teresa.
Okay, for the first question, I just finished my housemanship, and then I felt it was time for me to be in a serious relationship. And yeah, that was when I knew it was time to find love. And in the house, how did I know he was the one? Well, from the first week, he was quite intentional about being with me. We're over 10 girls or so in the house. So, but he was very, very particular about being with me. So I just knew, okay, I had to work with him.
What's this up? I mean, why do you pick her?
Obviously, to me, she was the most stunning woman in the house. And she had a striking personality and we vibed. So it was a no-brainer.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just like looking at, okay, and she is still stunning.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right,
so
Sam,
much.
I know Sam is here. Sam, I know you have one juicy thing to ask about them.
Of course. I'm curious now. I know that, of course, these things happen and then you meet. But what exactly has kept you guys in your relationship? What's the feature? What's that act, that you think has kept both of you, glued to each other?
Well, first off, relationships generally need work. Like once one person stops working on the relationship, it crumbles. And relationships thrive on a lot of forgiveness because we are not perfect. No one is perfect. Everyone has that thing that they're not really good at. So it's our job to bring our partner up to speed to the standards that we want or whatever we want them to uphold. It's our job to teach them and let them know that this is how we see things and, just strike a balance or meet at a midpoint and, everyone's happy.
Right, and for you also need to answer it.
Yes, for us, for me, it's been the goal. Like we've always had a particular goal for the future. So whatever that happens in our relationship is just too minor to affect the bigger goal, which is building together, being together, and spending our lives together. So that has always been our motivation to just be together because we know we are a force together. Yes, so that has just been the bigger goal for us, and it's been working.
Wow. I mean, I'm just looking at that picture. I'm like, I'm mesmerized. This is, oh my goodness, this is so cute. Wow.
Thank
All right,
you.
so I know in the house, you guys were among the top 5 couples in the house. I mean, but now the reality show has come and gone. It's been 1 year after the reality show, and you have you both have done great things after the show. I mean, I know you, Teresa, you went on, you featured in Tinsel, and Ike, you went on to do some other modeling jobs. Now, so tell us, really, you both have a YouTube channel, from what I know. Oh, nice. How does it feel finding love and also fulfillment in your different career paths? Let me start with you, Teresa.
Okay, so it's amazing having someone who supports your dream, supports your career, and still loves you the way you are. So that was one thing I was very particular about. Ike supports me in everything I do, and he's my #1 cheerleader. Same with him as well, I support him. So yeah, it's just been, like I told you, both of us are stronger together. So it's like, I push you, you push me. And for our different career paths, we've not really suffered in any of them because I don't restrict him in pursuing his goals, and he doesn't also restrict me. So we're like, okay, just go for it, motivate. I even call myself his manager sometimes, and likewise him as well. Yeah. So we push each other's careers to the front.
And Ike? For you, how have you guys been able to sustain? She said her own part. I need to hear from you, Ike, as a man. How has it been for you? In terms of how you've been able to sustain the relationship and how you've been able to get fulfillment in your different career paths?
Well, it's easy because #1, we both met on the reality show. I mean, making that decision to get on the show means our head was in the same place, obviously. So coming out into the real world now, we have shared visions, and most of the things where she sees herself is where I see myself as well. So it's like super easy because we're like two young people, same age range, same goals, and we're just working together to create magic.
Awesome. Sammy, are you hearing that?
Let me just say that I think you guys are absolutely adorable. But let me ask the big question, right? Any pressure to get married? Any pressure to start a family? And what do you think about those pressures? I'm sure your fans are out there thinking, we can't wait for you guys to get married and have kids. Any plans?
Definitely no pressure whatsoever, because I feel like we're taking our time, and because I'm the one calling the shots, when it comes to, engagement and all of that. We got engaged on May 19th, her birthday, and it was already a year, 3 months gone before that happened, and I thought it was the perfect time to I wouldn't say there's any pressure. And there's a slogan we go by: no pressure, no diamonds. But what that means in essence is we don't pressurize ourselves, but even in the pressure, we'll still come out successful.
Teresa, you tell me how has it been? Are you saying that as young and as yummy as you look, you have been able to withstand all the pressure from the guys and the guys?
Yeah, absolutely. I've tried to the best of my capabilities, because he's my number one, no matter the distractions that come around, even the ones that know me from the show, the ones that don't even know me from the show, when they come around like that, I just let them know straight up that, look, I'm taken and I'm happy where I'm at. And the truth, I think about it and I'm like, where else would I go to find happiness? Happiness is my number one. So whenever they do come like that, I'm just like, you're wasting your time. So
see the swag.
That's right.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Sammy, I don't know. Do you want to give me one more something hot for them?
Right. I feel like you guys seem like you've known each other forever. Let me ask, how long have you guys actually dated for?
It started February 2020.
Yeah.
So this is July.
Yeah.
That's
it's like 1 year, 5 months.
1 year, 5 months.
And you're both engaged.
Quite literally.
Yeah.
And we're both
in that space of
engaged
time.
In a space of time.
Fantabulous. Wow. This is, I mean, I'm just, my heart is so full and I'm so excited for you guys. Thank you so much for coming on the show. And we wish you guys the very best. But before I let you guys go, do you guys have anything for us? Do you guys have anything you're cooking up for us? Because I know engagement has already been done. So when is the date for you guys? What date are we looking at?
Like we talked about earlier, there's no pressure. Everything will come in due time. So
man.
We just drop the date and
let's
everybody.
sit back, relax, and enjoy the love.
I like what I'm saying. Nice. Thank you so much once again. You guys have heard it, Sam Dandy. You've heard it from them. We are going to be invited. Don't worry, Jollof Rice is coming.
I can't wait. I can't wait.
Definitely, Sam Dandy is my guy. He knows
All right. Thank you, Sam. So Sam, you can go. Tell us what's happening. What the juicy stories in entertainment?
All right, so let me tell you guys this one, right? So less than 24 hours ago, Adekunle Gold has dropped a video for his song Sinner. Now that's a big song, of course. In fact, he dropped that about 2 weeks ago on YouTube and it has over 500,000 listens. And now the video came out just yesterday. And in fact, fans are talking about this, it's spicy. So while of course the song features American award-winning rapper Lucky, the video actually has a lot of singing in it and it's the cutest thing. I don't want to say cute, I want to say a little bit explicit, but then it's a great video, and if you haven't, you should check out that video. It has over 50,000 views right now, and that's just in a few hours. So yeah, I'm looking forward to, of course, that blowing up, and it's really a great video. It's really a great video. All right, so let me tell you what's going on next. All right, so Fireboy, you know that we love Fireboy. Fireboy's first album, Laughter, Tears, and Goosebumps, and then Apollo. These are back-to-back albums. Now, this year, he's yet to drop anything. Well, not anymore, because, in fact, yesterday, he did release a song titled Peru. Now, this is great, of course, because I'm particularly looking forward to him bagging the Grammy Awards, if you ask me, because his albums have consistently given us, great songs. From Vibration, that was a huge song that December, to last year's songs like Champion, featuring American rapper D Smoke. So imagine what the album this year is going to be like. I'm super, super excited for it. In fact, most people have already started to say that, in fact, this song, Peru, sounds like, it had some Perusi influence or some Wine Cold influence. Well, but there's no feature where yet we don't know anything about the upcoming album, but we're certain that he's going to drop an album this year. So I'm super excited for this. I mean, he's Fireboy, he's young, and I think young people are definitely doing great things, right?
Right, Sam, that's quite interesting, and I believe that we can still expect more, right?
We can, definitely. We can expect more,
And it's a big weekend, so basically I have something to look
forward to
on the entertainment scene. Frank, Sam always brings it for us.
He always does, very juicy. Thank you so much, Sam.
Anytime.
All right. They're still on Breakfast Central, but still to come on the program. All about Tokyo Olympics opening day. Exciting.
I think my mic is bad.
You're also watching Breakfast Central. It's a Friday. Let's give you some sports update. Now, after a year's delay, the Tokyo Olympics will start today officially with the opening ceremony due to start at about 12 noon West African time. So it will be quite an Olympics like none other, because we hear that, it's going to be quite an empty stadium. Imagine a stadium of 50,000 capacity having less than 1,000 people. Only dignitaries will be allowed. Yes, fans have been ordered not to gather in the Olympics, so they're not selling tickets. So it's going to be quite an interesting opening ceremony when it comes to Rio 2020. Over 11,000 athletes are out there right now trying to compete from over 200 countries. You hear that the total of 339 medals of the event in 33 sports. So it's quite an Olympics like none other. The good news about it is that there are 5 new sports like karate, skateboarding, sports climbing, baseball and softball, surfing, and we also have events in the likes of the 400 meters mixed medley relay to come in terms of swimming, and also the relay triathlon. So once again, it starts today, the 23rd of July, and the opening ceremony will start at about 8 p.m. Japanese time, which is about 12 noon West African time. So it's the big day when it comes to Tokyo 2020. Speaking about football events which already started, let's look at results from football events in Tokyo as it happened yesterday. Men's result football, check that out. Mexico defeated France by 4-1. Japan against South Africa 1-0. New Zealand beat South Korea 1-0. Honduras lost 1-0 to Romania. Egypt against Spain finished 0-0. Argentina lost to Australia. Surprise, surprise, 2-0. The Ivory Coast are doing Africa proud, beating Saudi Arabia by 2-1. And check that out for a big scoreline. Brazil against Germany, Olympic football events. 4-2 in favor of Brazil. Richarlison, that man from Everton, scoring a hat-trick. There'll be lots of sports later on in the game.
Right, and that's it. And that's all the time we have for sport this morning on Breakfast Central. But before we wrap up, let's show you some other shows that you can watch later today on News Central TV.
We've got NC, news now at 12 noon.
And 5:30 p.m. West African time, we have E Central.
And at 9 p.m., it will be time for NC Continental Prime. All right, that's our package on breakfast today. So much we looked at the news, current affairs, and sports. And yes, let's say a hi to our guest who came today, Anastasia Bolu. Yes, a comic artist and creative director.
Hi.
All right.
Hello, good morning, Bolu. It was so nice to have you on the program earlier today.
All right. Thank you guys for coming. Bye-bye. And the other studio, thank you so much. All right, so that's the program for our full So Good today, Breakfast Central on News Central. We'll see you again next week, same time, 8 a.m. on a Monday. Bye-bye for now.
Adama.